Giribharadhari. Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari. Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Vishnupad Paramahansa Shri Maharaj Divine Grace Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBD Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 27, Text number 3. Tena saṁsāra-padavīm. Tena saṁsāra-padavīm. Avaśo bhyety. Avaśo bhyety. Prāsaṅgikaiḥ karma-doṣaiḥ. Prāsaṅgikaiḥ karma-doṣaiḥ. sad-asan-miśra-yoniṣu. sad-asan-miśra-yoniṣu. Tena saṁsāra-padavīm. Avaśo anirvṛtaḥ. Prāsaṅgikaiḥ karma-doṣaiḥ. sad-asan-miśra-yoniṣu. Anybody else? Tena, by this, samsara, of repeated birth and death. Padavīm, the path. Avaśaḥ, helplessly. Abhyeti, he undergoes. Anirvṛtaḥ, discontented. Prāsaṅgikaiḥ, resulting from association with material nature. Karma-doṣaiḥ, by faulty actions. Sat, good. Asat, bad. Mishra, mixed. Yoniṣu, in different species of life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The conditioned soul therefore transmigrates into different species of life, higher and lower, because of his association with the modes of material nature. Unless he is relieved of material activities, he has to accept this position because of his faulty work. Purport. Here the word karma-doṣaiḥ means by faulty actions. This refers to any activity, good or bad, performed in this material world. They are all contaminated, faulty actions because of material association. The foolish conditioned soul may think that he is offering charity by opening hospitals for material benefit or by opening an educational institution for material education, but it does not know that all such work is also faulty because it will not give him relief from the process of transmigration from one body to another. It is clearly stated here, sad-asan-miśra-yoniṣu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family or may take his birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. I read that wrong, sorry. It is clearly stated here, sad-asan-miśra-yoniṣu. This means that one may take birth in a very high family, or he may take his birth in higher planets among the demigods for his so-called pious activities in the material world. But this work is also faulty because it does not give liberation. To take birth in a nice place or a high family does not mean that one avoids undergoing the material tribulations, the pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. A conditioned soul under the spell of material nature cannot understand that any action he performs for sense gratification is faulty, and that only his activities in the devotional service of the Lord can give him release from the reaction of faulty activities. Because he does not cease such faulty activities, he has to change to different bodies, some high, some low. That is called saṁsāra-padavīm, which means this material world from which there is no release. One who desires material liberation has to turn his activities to devotional service. There is no other alternative. Om Gyanā Tamadandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. So, this is pretty easy to understand, pretty basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It's not something, we're hearing about, these ideas in the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but this is not the first time. It's actually the same information or the same ideas are presented right in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is considered the ABC of spiritual life. Right there in the second chapter, there's a few verses, basically the same message. I think they go, let's see if I can recall. Dodena hi avaram karma, buddhi yoga dhananjaya, buddho saranam anvicha, kripana palahetava, buddhi yukto jahatiha, ube sukrita duskrite, tasmad yogaya yudhyasva, yoga karma shukoshala, and karma jam buddhi yukto hi, palam tyaktva manishana, janma bandhavaniya muktam padam gachanti ananmayam. I'm better at the Sanskrit than I am at the English, so I'll read the translations. This is text 49, 50, and 51. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. He says, O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their works are misers. This is even gets more specific here. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions, even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So, and then it goes on to say, by thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So it's kind of stated in a more positive way. Here in this verse, Kapila is saying what happens if you don't, you engage in material activities and you get, which produce material reactions, and you stay here in the material world. And here Krishna is saying, if you engage in devotional service, not only is no material reaction to those activities, but you become free from reactions to past material activities. It's a very great advantage, actually, if you stop and think about it. Not only when you engage in activities of devotional service, not only are you not incurring or accruing any new karma, but you're getting free from the karma that you already had. So it's kind of like a great deal. And but the thing is this, so we hear this. It's not difficult to understand. I mean, intellectually, it's not like it's a difficult concept to grasp. But, if we look at the world at large, we see that 99.99% of the human population is not able to follow this advice. What to speak of the non-devotees. Even devotees struggle with this, idea of just only engaging in devotional service and not worrying about improving their material situation or, like that, doing things of that nature. So why is that? Why is it that it's so difficult? Well, one point is that in order to, and Krishna talks about this in the same chapter, second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a little bit further on, he explains that in order to give up material activities, you have to be engaged in spiritual activities, and you have to have a taste. There's that famous verse, hopefully we all know, Vishayava nivartante nihahara shadehina rasavarjama sopyasya padam drishtvanavartate, that the embodied soul may be restricted from sense gratification, but the inclination is still there. One is only able to cease his engagement in sense gratification when he experiences a higher taste. Padam drishtvanavartate. When you experience that higher taste, then you can turn your back on the material activities, because ultimately everything we're doing for pleasure. See, so when you're able to get a superior pleasure, a pleasure from engaging in devotional service, then then you can turn your back on the material activities that you were engaging in to get pleasure like that. So that that happened in the past. In other words, it's not like devotional service doesn't work. I was mentioning, devotees may be struggling, but there are success stories. I'm going to read you a success story from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is a description of when Lord Chaitanya was traveling throughout South India. This is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describing a regular, series of events. This was happening on a regular daily basis. This was the regular program for like 6 years when he was, right after he took sannyas, he went down to Cape Comorin and kind of doubled back like that. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, whoever heard Lord Chaitanya chant Hari Hari also chanted the holy name of Lord Hari and Krishna. In this way, they all followed the Lord, very eager to see him. After some time, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them return home. Okay, so this is like, you can hear about 3 generations here. So this is the first generation of people. So the people who were following Lord Chaitanya, hearing him chant, and they started chanting, and Lord Chaitanya is, aware of this. He's seeing these people walking along with him, and they're chanting with him. And at some point, he becomes, he's pleased, and he acknowledges their appreciation of his chanting and their chanting. He goes up and he embraces them. Okay, and it says after being embraced by Lord Chaitanya, the Lord would embrace these people and bid them to return home after investing them with spiritual potency. Okay, so they're invested with spiritual potency. It says, being thus empowered, they would return to their own villages. always chanting the holy name of Krishna, and sometimes laughing, crying, and dancing. So in other words, they underwent a complete transformation. You know, they started off as ordinary people, just kind of like out of curiosity and amazement. They're seeing Lord Chaitanya, you know, walking along the road chanting Hare Krishna and Hare Hare, and they join in, and the next thing they know, they're chanting, and then they're getting embraced by Lord Chaitanya, and they're invested with spiritual potency, and now they are in turn chanting and laughing and crying and dancing in the process. So it goes on to say, these empowered people used to request everyone and anyone, whomever they saw, to chant the holy name of Krishna. In other words, not only they were transformed, not only into ecstatic devotees of Krishna, but into preachers, because you know they are now requesting everyone and anyone, whomever they see, to chant the holy name of Krishna. So they're totally transformed. They're converted into not just full-on devotees if they weren't already, but preachers as well. Then it goes on. In this way, all the villagers would also become devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you know, they went back to their villages, and all the people in their village became devotees. Then it goes on to say, simply by seeing such empowered individuals, people from different villages would become like them by the mercy of their glance. So in other words, now people from outside that village visit that village on business or whatever, you know, to market or something, you know, and they see the people in that village, and just by associating with those people, you know, just by those people in that first village looking at them, they become invested with this bhakti shakti, you know, spiritual potency. So it says, simply by empowering people from different villages would become like them by the mercy of their glance. When these individuals returned to their villages, okay, they also converted others into devotees. So that they brought it back to their village, and all the people in their village became devotees. When others came to see them, it's like an epidemic. You know, we just had the pandemic. This was like a spiritual pandemic. When other people came to see them, they were also converted. And this way, as those men went from one village to another, all the people of South India became devotees. So this is a description of what was going on 500 years ago plus, when Lord Chaitanya was personally present here. And so one might, you know, ask the question, well, how is that, you know? Well, Lord Chaitanya had inconceivable spiritual potency. He's Krishna himself, so he's inconceivable spiritual potency. So that's, you know, a way to understand it. But okay, if that's the case, if Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, he has inconceivable spiritual potency, what about now? Why can't it be happening now? Right? Why not? Well, there's actually, it is happening now. It can't, well, I'll start off by saying it can be happening now. And I'm going to read something here. It's an excerpt from, I think it's from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah, this is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a purport. Adi Lila, chapter 7, text maybe like 100. It says, oh, no, sorry. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 3, text 20, the purport. Prabhupada says, unless one is completely pure devotee, one cannot enjoy the transcendental bliss derived from chanting and dancing in the ecstasy of the Sankirtan movement. Such ecstasy is not possible for an ordinary devotee. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us how one can enjoy transcendental bliss by chanting, hearing, and dancing in ecstasy. This is Bhakti Yoga. Unless one is situated on this transcendental platform, one cannot approach the Supreme Lord. The benediction of being able to approach the Lord can be achieved after many, many births. So far it doesn't sound like such great news. It sounds hard, you know, unless you're some sort of special devotee, you can't enjoy the bliss of chanting and dancing, and it's many, many births before. But then it goes on to say, yet, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has awarded this benediction to everyone, even, and here it comes, even to the fallen souls who have no heritage of anything in spiritual life. See, that's what this Sankirtan movement is all about. That's the benediction of Lord Chaitanya, that he's awarding this to a benediction to everyone, even to fallen souls who have no heritage of anything in spiritual life. And Prabhupada says this is actually being seen in the Krishna conscious movement. So what is that benediction? The benediction is the opportunity to engage in devotional service, the opportunity to participate in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. That's the benediction. we have the opportunity to participate in the Sankirtan movement. And if we do it, then we could experience potentially something similar to what we just heard described there. But we've got to really do it. I'm going to read one more thing here. But it takes, in order for this to happen, the times are different. I mean, Lord Chaitanya, of course, inconceivable potency 500 years ago. He has inconceivable potency now, but the people that he was interacting with weren't as covered over as, people now, 500 years later in the Kali Yuga, and not in India. Lord Chaitanya was preaching in India. This was 500 years ago. These people had, quite a different background than, people here born in the West, total Malechas, Yavanas, etc. So, there has to be a little adjustment. And Prabhupada talks about that in one lecture he gave. He was saying, so just like in Europe and America, some of our friends criticize that Swami Maharaj, he is not doing this, he is not doing that. So then Prabhupada, next breath he goes, we are doing everything. But our main business is just to induce them to Krishna consciousness. That is the secret. You have to induce them. Then, even there is some discrepancy in the rules and regulations, it doesn't matter. Rupa Goswami says, Sarva Vidina said, Asur etayor eva kinkara. First of all, we must be Krishna conscious somehow or other. We must find out the way. And the rules and regulations can be changed according to country, climate, and circumstances, but the result we have to see. But we have to see by the result whether one has become Krishna conscious. That is wanted. Then we say, this is the rule. You don't do this. In the beginning, we had difficulties because their behavior, their culture, everything just opposite. Just opposite. See, that's not true. The people Lord Chaitanya was interacting with 500 years ago there. But here in the West, it's just opposite. Prabhupada repeated it twice. Just opposite, just opposite. So how can you expect that everything is going to be to the right point? That is not possible. So we have to find out a means how people can become Krishna conscious. And he says, that is our first business. And then he goes on to give the example of his spiritual master who had his sannyasi disciples go beg alms in a motor vehicle. And this is 1930s. In India in 1930s, from what I can understand, only very wealthy people had cars. Cars weren't a common thing. They weren't even common here in America in 1930, but what to speak of in India. So it's like, what? It was unheard of. The sannyasis were going in cars to ask for donations. They were living in a palatial building at Bagh Bazaar, that marble temple that was donated. So that was, Bhaktisiddhanta's idea was, let them live in big cities, big palatial houses, but preach Krishna consciousness. That was the thing, And as far as he was concerned, that was what he referred to as the Rupanuga principle, not to go to Vrindavan in a loincloth and just try to imitate Rupa Goswami, doing all sorts of nonsense things on the side. But Bhaktisiddhanta, he really wanted to imbibe that preaching spirit within his disciples. So he just made all arrangements. As far as there's a hierarchy of principles, and at the top of that hierarchy is engaged. Help and give these people an appreciation for Krishna consciousness and then turn them into preachers. And he was successful to a certain extent, and of course Prabhupada is the greatest example of his success. But so getting to the point that it's happening now. It's also happening now. And I don't know, Kishore Gopinath, he was supposed to help me, but I wanted to show some pictures here. But I don't know if I'll be able to because I needed his assistance. But anyway, on my phone here, unfortunately he's not here. He's kind of supposed to help me. I have pictures of, I'm part of the chat group, Krishna Life chat group. And I'm up to about 4,000. And you know how to do this, Shamarari? Can you quickly just... You can get it on the screen there. He did it yesterday very easily. He says, I'm already logged into the Govinda's thing. So these, I went to Krishna Life to visit for the first time about a year, maybe let's say 2 years ago. So, there's a couple few initiated devotees there and a whole bunch of bhaktas, brand new devotees. And then I went back after another year, and then they're initiated. And now, these same people that were just, brand new devotees, as recently as a couple of years ago, they're initiated, and they're preachers. And you're going to see hopefully you're going to see the picture here in a second. Yeah, there we go. Maybe you could just start on the last picture. Okay, I could do it. Okay, and I'll just scroll back for you. So, as you can see here, these are people, regular, ordinary people, and they're receiving these sapta-rishis, stacks of like 7 hardback books, and this is a guy with a set of Bhagavatams. These devotees, as I said, for me, this is an example of the same thing that we're hearing here, Lord Chaitanya's mercy. They're not just giving them a book, they're giving them like a set of Bhagavatams. This is like some total strangers that they just met out on a parking lot. The guy's up on his shoulder there, that's a box of Bhagavatams. And in the other picture, that's his wife there. She's got the sapta-rishi as well. So they sold them, sapta-rishi, 7 books, and the set of Bhagavatams. There they are again. Now, a lot of these people are Indians, as you can see, and you can say, oh, well, but Indians are people, and there's a lot of them here in the West Coast as well. There's half of the Indian immigration population is in 4 states: California, Texas, New York, and New Jersey. And I did some research on it, and half of that is California. California has 20+% of the Indian immigrants. So, we have a lot of Indians here too. And it's not like they have some advantage that we don't have. There's a lot of Indians here in California. And they're candidates for taking books. And you can see it's not all Indians. These are... Mahutsa is very smart. He did his research too, and he went up to New Jersey, and he's distributing books up there now because there's a great concentration of Indian people in New York and New Jersey. And they train up devotees from overseas. Look at that. So as you can see, this is like these devotees who are distributing these books, they're getting the mercy, and these people are getting the mercy. So, and you might say, well, yeah, so what, but this is something special, because just even as recently as 5 years ago, this wasn't happening. This whole thing of selling, what to speak of, the sapta-rishis, what to speak of selling a set of Bhagavatams to a total stranger off the street, just what, right? It's been within 5 years that this has started happening. And when it first started happening, we were going like, what? Is this for real? Well, yeah, it's for real. These devotees, nobody told them you can't do it. So they're doing it. And here's the proof. This is evidence. Look at that. These are some young girls. They're taking a set of, 7 hardback books of Prabhupada. They get, full price for them pretty much, double the BBT. They sell their books at. And this girl looks like she's taking 2 of them, 2 stacks of sapta-rishis. Couple. Yeah, and devotees are getting trained up. Devotees are coming from all over the world, and they get trained up over. So she took a set of Bhagavatams, that lady, and maybe a. So yeah, so Lord Chaitanya's mercy is still there. This is for me. This is like proof that the whole thing is, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is alive and kicking. These people are getting the mercy. These devotees are getting the mercy. These people are getting the mercy. Big time. Look at that. Some of these, they have little stories connected to it, but I don't have the time to do it. But, yeah, so, and I guess what I'm getting at is we could do it too. I mean, if they could do it, we could do it. We should be trying to do it. I mean, yesterday I gave a Sunday feast lecture, and you know, I gave a similar presentation. I had a little bit more smooth. I had Shri Gopinath flipping the pictures there while I was speaking, but I was making the same point that, yeah, you know, we're happy to have the Gita Jayanti there, or the Gita thing, and, you know, have everybody sponsor boxes of Bhagavad Gitas, and then we'll go out and distribute them. That's nice. We're happy to do that, and it's great service. But I was trying to tell everybody, you know, what would make me even more happy is if you distribute them. You know, I could distribute them, and we have you know, we could be on the college campuses, and we'll give them to all the students who are willing to take them. But what would be even more nectar and exciting is if some of you who, you know, there in the audience, if you kind of got into this and became, you know, started distributing these books, that would be great. And so anyway, I got one response. At the end of the class, a nice couple came up to me, Indian couple, and the man introduced himself. You know, he said, you know, we're from Alabama. He said, do devotees ever go to Alabama? I said, well, yeah, these devotees who I'm showing you the pictures of, they're based in Atlanta, Georgia. He said, well, we have a motel there, and if they'd ever like to stay at our motel, they're welcome to stay free of charge, you know, anytime, as many as they like. I said, oh, well, thank you very much, you know. And it works out, they live here in Los Angeles, and they have another motel just down the road on Washington and Centinela. And I got his contact information and everything, and we'll try to, you know, cultivate him. So, in other words, the potential's here too. We just have to give it a go. I mean, without trying, obviously we're not going to, you know, be successful, but you'd be surprised. Yeah, just flipping a little bit more. So I guess a way to start would be to, you know, if you have just you ask somebody if they're really these ordinary people, probably at shopping centers, schools, all over the place. That's amazing to me still. I'm looking at these pictures. These people are total strangers, and they, you know, there they are. 1 minute they're just regular old people in the material world, and you know, the next minute they're walking away with a stack of Prabhupada's books, or even a set of Bhagavatams, or both. Unbelievable. So, you know, they say like the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So I think all of us, you know, we could think of like, hey, can I think of anybody who might be interested in either Sapta Rishi or Sadabhati? No harm in asking. You know, ask your parents, ask your son or your daughter, ask your neighbor, ask the person you work with, or, you know, start off with maybe people you know or that you feel more comfortable with. But I bet you if we try, I mean, why is it only they can be successful? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like one place, one temple in America, one group of devotees could be the only ones that get the mercy and nobody else. No. You gotta, you know, we just have to make a, look at that. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I have 4,000 pictures. And I just got on the chat group at the beginning of April. And I think it was existing even before then. So 4,000 times 1,000, that's 4 million words. You know, I'm not going to be able to show you all of it, but you know, look at that. That man just took a set of Bhagavatams. So this is, yeah, it's happening. Even kids. So, yeah, that's kind of my message for today, that Lord Chaitanya's mercy is still alive and kicking. Here's the proof. Right? These devotees are obviously they're getting Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Otherwise, how could they do this? These people are getting Lord Chaitanya's mercy. We're not stepchildren. You know, we could do it too. We should try. We should try. Make some effort to just, you know, try to introduce this and let's see what happens. Make some sort of an effort. So let's see what time it is. 8:22. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'll just keep flipping these pictures. So just looking at these pictures enlivens me. I just, you know, this is great. This is like a dream come true, really. For those of us who, have been around for a while, and this is a dream come true to see these pictures, right, Savas? This is like a dream come true, right? Especially when you see these people who aren't Indians. That, for me, is like, wow. They're just getting regular old people to take sets of, that lady's Indian, okay. Okay, he's not Indian. Okay, nobody has any questions or comment? Okay, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Briyat Madanga ki jai.